Hello guys, welcome to Study for Civil Services. In this video, we will see physics concepts or physics basics for exams, 2016 exams. This is actually a general science series for 2016 exams, and we have already covered chemistry digest or chemistry basics for 2016 exams, and we have covered chemistry MCQs also. And these concepts are very important for all the exams for UPSC, for state PCS exams, SSC exams, banking, and various other exams. So let's start this first part. See, in physics, we will start with the basic concepts. First is work. What is work? Work is actually the formula is work is equal to force into displacement. So in physics, a force is said to do work if when acting on a body there is a displacement of the point of application in the direction of force. So work is equal to force into displacement. And the example can be seen that when a ball is held above the ground and then dropped, then the work done on the ball as it falls is equal to the work of the ball. That is weight of the ball. That is a force, and that multiplied by the distance to the ground or displacement. Distance and displacement are actually the same thing, but if you consider direction also, then the term is known as displacement, and if you consider only magnitude, then the term is known as distance. So work is said to be done if force acting on a body is able to actually move it through some distance in the direction of force, and the unit of work is joule. This is the so W is the common symbol of work. SI unit is joule. In SI base units is could also be 1 kg meter square per second square, because kg meter will be the kg will be the mass, and then meter will be the meter per second will be the velocity. So force into distance, or force equal to mass into acceleration. Mass means kg and acceleration means meter per second square. So force into displacement. And second definition is energy. Energy is a scalar quantity and its unit is joule. So the unit of SI unit of work and energy both is joule. And there is a law of conservation of energy. It says that sum of all kinds of energy in an isolated system remains constant at all times. And this is known as the law of conservation of energy. Now another very basic definition is power. Power is the rate of doing work. So at the rate at which work could be done is known as power, and it is the amount of energy consumed per unit time. So power could also be said that energy per unit time. Power is having no direction, and that is why it is a scalar quantity. See, the difference between the scalar and vector quantities are like scalar quantity only have magnitude and vector quantity have magnitude as well as direction. And in the SI system, the unit of power is joule per second, also known as watt, in the honor of James Watt, the 18th century developer of the steam engine. So please remember this fact that James Watt was the developer of the steam engine in the 18th century, and in the honor of Watt, the unit of power is watt, and 1 watt hour equal to 3600 joule or 3600 joule, and 1 kilowatt hour is equal to 3.6 into 10 to the power 6, means 10 into 10 into 10 up to 6 times. So 1 kilowatt hour equal to 3.6 into 10 to the power 6 joule. See, this 1 kilowatt hour, actually kilowatt hour is generally the unit which we see in our electric meter, and the bill on the electricity is calculated by this unit, kilowatt hour. Then 1 horsepower is also another unit. It is equal to 746 watt. Please remember it. It could be directly asked in the exams. Now another concept is gravitation. See, every body in the universe attract other body by a force known as force of gravitation, and the gravitational force of the earth is gravity, and it is represented by G. See, the acceleration produced in a body due to force of gravity is called the acceleration due to gravity, or G, and its value is 9.8 meter per second square. The value of G is actually not constant everywhere in the earth. It varies. We'll see some facts. And acceleration due to gravity is independent of shape, size and mass of the body. Now this is another very important fact, that escape velocity is actually the minimum velocity with which an object, if crosses the earth's gravitational field. Means if you give any object a velocity equal to escape velocity, then it will be crossing the earth's gravitational field, and it will never return to the earth. And that is why, and the fact that the escape velocity of any object at earth's surface is 11.2 kilometers per second. So if you provide any object with a velocity of 11.2 kilometer per second, then it will be permanently escape from the earth surface, and it will never return to the earth surface. Now escape velocity at the moon surface is 2.4 kilometer per second. So escape velocity at earth is higher and than the moon surface, and due to the low escape velocity there is no atmosphere on the moon. And these are some of the facts, that value of G, or gravity, decreases with the height. So as you move up the surface, the value of G will start decreasing, and value of G also decreases with the depth from the earth surface. So as you move up the earth surface, or you move down the earth surface, the value of G will decrease. Now G is maximum at poles. Please remember this. It could be directly asked. The value of G, or gravity, or acceleration due to gravity, is maximum at poles and minimum at equators. Okay, please remember this fact. And G decreases due to the rotation of earth. Now G decreases if angular speed of the earth increases, and increases if angular speed of the earth decreases. So G, or the acceleration due to gravity, is inversely proportional to the angular speed of the earth. Now acceleration due to gravity at the moon is 1/6 that of earth. So at earth the value of G is 9.8 meter per second square, and the G at moon will be 9.8 by 6. So it will become around 1.6 something meter per second square at the moon surface. And that is why the weight of a person on the surface of the moon will be 1/6 of his actual weight on the earth. Because see, weight equal to mass into the value of G. So mass of the person or any object would remain the same, and the value of G at the earth will be G, and value of G will at the moon will be G by 6. So that is why the weight of a person on the surface of the moon will be 1/6 of his actual weight on the earth. So this is the first part of the physics digest, or basic concepts for the exams. And please like, share and subscribe our channel Study for Civil Services, and please wait for the second part of this video. Thank you for listening. Hello guys, welcome to Study for Civil Services. This is the third part of physics digest for exams, or physics very basic concepts for exams. And this is the actually video series for general science. We have already covered chemistry videos, and now we are making physics, and then we will cover all the NCERT from class 6 to class 12th. So we have covered up to satellites. In this video we will start from atomic and nuclear physics. So let's start. Cathode rays. Cathode rays discovered by Sir William Crook. Please remember this fact. And there are some properties which are very important. They travel in a straight line, they produce fluorescence, they can penetrate through the thin coils of metal, and also deflected by both electric as well as magnetic fields. They have velocity ranging from 1/30th to 1/10th of the velocity of light. Then another type of waves are positive or canal rays. These rays were discovered by Goldstein. The positive rays consist of positively charged particles. They also travel in a straight line. They can be deflected by electric and magnetic fields. These rays can also produce ionization in gases. Now, another very important rays are X-rays. They are electromagnetic waves, and their wavelength ranges from zero point 0.1 angstrom to the 100 angstrom. See, sorry for the disturbance. 1 angstrom is equal to 10 to the power minus 10 meter. So X-rays are electromagnetic waves, and their wavelength ranges from zero point 0.1 angstrom to 100 angstrom. And X-rays were discovered by Roentgen, and they can also travel in straight line. But X-rays are actually harmful if the long exposure of X-rays is applied to the body. It is very injurious for human body. X-rays produce photoelectric effect. Now there are various uses of X-rays. X-rays are very important rays. So they are used in medical science. X-rays are used in surgery for detection of fracture, for diseased organs, for foreign particles like bullets, stones, etc. They are also used in the treatment of cancer and in skin diseases. Also, if any accident takes place, the doctor always prescribe to do an X-ray. So that is there also X-rays used. Then X-rays are also used in engineering. They are used in detecting faults, cracks, flaws, and gas pockets in finished metal products and in heavy metal sheets. They are also used in scientific work. X-rays are used in studying crystal structure and complex molecules. Then X-rays are also used in custom department. They are used in custom department for detection of banned materials kept hidden. Now, another very important concept is radioactivity. It was discovered by Henry Becquerel, Madame Curie, and Pierre Curie. See, Madame Curie is the only lady which got Nobel Prize in physics as well as in chemistry. Please remember this fact. And all the three, Henry Becquerel, Madame Curie, and Peter Curie, they got all the three, Henry Becquerel, Madame Curie, and Peter Curie, they got Nobel Prize for the discovery of radioactivity. Now, another very important fact or very important concept is nuclear fission. It is a nuclear process, and in this process, an atom actually splits into uh, two or more smaller atoms. Here it is written. So, nuclear fission is when an atom splits apart into smaller atoms, and the process gives off a lot of energy and is used in nuclear weapons and in nuclear reactors. Please remember this. The nuclear reactors which are used to produce electricity, they are based on the nuclear fission process, not fusion. Fusion is different. Fission is different. Fission in fission, one big atom splits into smaller atoms, and fission is also basic for atom bomb. So atom bomb is based on nuclear fission, but hydrogen bomb is based on nuclear fusion, which North Korea have claimed to explode just few days ago. And uranium 235 and plutonium 239 are used as the fissionable material. Now, nuclear fission was first demonstrated by Helen and Fritz Strassmann. So this is the diagram of nuclear fission. Here, uranium, big particle of uranium, and when a neutron is made to collide, or strike with this uranium, it is splits into two atoms, two molecules. That is one of krypton and another of barium, and a lot of energy is also released, and a lot of neutrons are released. So these neutrons will again, will be collided with the other particles, and that is why a chain reaction is set up in nuclear fission. So nuclear fission is the basis of nuclear reactor which produce electricity. Now another process is nuclear fusion. When two or more light nuclei combine together, they form a heavier nucleus, and that process is known as nuclear fusion. So the nuclear fusion is the process of making a single heavy nucleus from two lighter nuclei. And fusion happens in the middle of stars and in the sun also. So in the sun, the energy released from the fusion process. In the sun, hydrogen atoms are fused together and make helium, and in this process, a lot of energy is released. And but to make the nuclear fusion, a very high temperature is required. Hydrogen bomb is based on nuclear fusion, and hydrogen bomb was made by an American scientist in 1952. I've told you hydrogen bomb based on nuclear fusion, and it is said that hydrogen bomb is around 1000 times more powerful than normal nuclear bomb or normal atom bomb. So these are some facts. You should remember this for all the exams. Now another thing is nuclear reactor or atomic pile. Nuclear reactor is actually an arrangement in which controlled nuclear fission reaction takes place. I've told you that this controlled nuclear fission is also a chain reaction. We have just saw this in chain reaction because when one nuclei of uranium is made to be collided with the neutron, it will result in the formation of two other molecules or two other elements, and then in that process some neutrons are released, and these neutrons will again collided, and then some more neutrons will be produced. So there will be a chain reaction, but in the nuclear reactor, that chain reaction is controlled, and that is the process for getting the electricity from the nuclear reactor. First nuclear reactor was established in Chicago University under the supervision of Professor Enrico Fermi, and there are some of the elements used in the nuclear reactor process, like they are known as the moderators. They are actually used to slow down the fast moving neutrons so that a controlled chain reaction takes place in the nuclear reactor. So what is the use of moderator? Moderators are used to slow down the fast moving neutrons. So moderators are used to decrease the velocity of the neutrons, and there are some very common moderators like heavy water or D2O, then graphite and beryllium oxide. So these three are used as moderators in nuclear reactor. Heavy water, graphite and beryllium oxide. Please remember these three names. These are used as moderators in the nuclear reactor, and moderators means to moderate. To moderate means to slow down the fast moving neutrons or to slow down the velocity of the neutrons. Now there are a lot of uses of nuclear energy, nuclear reactor. They produce electrical energy from the energy released during the fission. Then also to produce different isotopes, this can be used, and then in medical, physical, and agricultural science. So this is the third part of Physics Digest for exams. Please like, share, and subscribe our channel, Study for Civil Services, for more updates. And wait for our fourth part. In that part, we will try to cover the rest of this PDF. Thank you for listening. Welcome to Study for Civil Services. This is the second part of Physics Digest for exams or Physics Basics, Physics Concepts for 2016 exams. These basics are very important, and in this video I will also tell you some of the very important facts which could be directly asked in the exam. Satellite. See, what is satellite? Satellite is any celestial body which revolve around two types, either natural like moon or artificial satellites like whatever IRNSS or INSAT. So these all are artificial satellites. They revolve around a planet under its gravitational force of attraction. Now satellite could also be artificial, I've told you, and it has been intentionally placed into an orbit, and such objects are sometimes called artificial satellites. to distinguish them from the natural satellites such as Earth's moon. Similar to the Earth, every planet of the sun, every planet of the universe, which see there are eight planets which revolve around the sun, and most of them have their natural satellite. Earth is one of them, and there are which are having more than one moons. Now, this is very important fact. You must remember this fact that world's first artificial satellite was launched by Soviet Union in 1957, and the name of that satellite was Sputnik 1. So the world's first artificial satellite, that is the Sputnik 1, was launched by Soviet Union in 1957. And uses of satellites could be various. They are used for a large number of purposes. Common purpose would include military and civilian Earth observation satellites, also communication satellites, weather satellites, research. These are very important for the for giving the signals to the TV or mobile, or for some navigation, or for some weather reports, or for reports of rainfall, and also the IMD department. And space stations and human spacecraft in orbit are also satellites. And there are various orbits of satellites also. And the satellites orbits vary greatly depending on the purpose of the satellites. And there are three types of orbits of satellites. One is low Earth orbit, medium Earth, and then high Earth orbit. Low Earth orbit is very well known and overlapping, and it include low. Sorry, these are the. There are actually three orbits of satellites, and they are very well known. And these could be low Earth orbit, then polar orbit, and high orbit. Now, in the low Earth orbit, geocentric orbits with altitude up to 2000 kilometers. So satellites placed up to the altitude of 2000 kilometers. Now there are another orbit, that is medium Earth orbit, and here the geocentric orbits ranging in altitude from 2000 kilometers to just below geosynchronous orbit. Geosynchronous orbit is actually about 36,000 kilometers from the Earth, and low orbit up to 2000 kilometers. So they depending on the purpose of the satellite, they are actually placed in three type of orbit. One is low, then medium, then geostationary, or high orbit. So medium orbit means up to between 2000 to 36,000 around kilometer, and these are also known as intermediate circular orbit, and these are most commonly at either 20,200 kilometer or 20,650 kilometers, and they have orbital period of 12 hours. But geosynchronous or the geosynchronous or geostationary orbit are having orbital period of 24 hours, that is one Earth day. And both geosynchronous and geostationary orbit are orbits around Earth, matching Earth's sidereal rotation period, that is 1 day or 24 hours, approximately equal to 24 hours. And all geosynchronous and geostationary orbit have a semi-major axis of 42,000 around kilometer. And this is very important fact that a geostationary orbit stays exactly above the equator. And this is termed geostationary because if you see from the Earth, the satellite will always remain stationary. That you can assume that the satellite is a stationary at that position, but it is actually moving. So that is why that orbit is geostationary orbit. But geosynchronous orbit may swing north and south to cover more of the Earth's surface. So please remember this, that a geostationary orbit stays exactly above the equator, but geosynchronous orbit may swing north and south to cover more of the Earth's surface, but both complete one full orbit of Earth per sidereal day. And the last one I told you, that low, medium, and then high Earth orbit. Here geosynchronous orbit above the altitude of geosynchronous orbit, that is around 36,000 kilometer. And Moon is a natural satellite. I've told you. Insert one is artificial satellite. Geostationary satellite revolved around the Earth at a height of around 36,000 kilometer. I've told you. Please remember this fact. This is very important. Time period of rotation of geostationary orbit is around 24 hours or 1 day or one Earth sidereal day. Then the Earth rotates on, and this is very important fact because now if you see that the Earth rotates on its axis from west to east, and this rotation makes the sun and stars appear to be moving across the sky from east to west because of the relative motion. So Earth rotates from west to east. That is why it seems that sun and stars are moving from east to west. And geostationary satellite is used to telecast TV programs from one part to another, and in weather forecasting and in prediction of floods and droughts. So these are some of the uses of geostationary satellite. Then polar satellites, some satellites are launched in polar orbit, and they revolve around the Earth in polar orbit at around 800 kilometer approximately. And time period of these polar satellites is around 84 minutes. So if you summarize the satellites, some of the facts you should know that satellites are any body which revolve around the planet. There are two type of satellites: natural or artificial. Natural is moon, and artificial could be any like INSAT or IRNSS or any navigational or any communication satellite. And then world's first artificial satellite is Sputnik 1. It was launched by Soviet Union or the Russia in 1957. They are used for a large number of purposes: military, civilian, observation, communication, navigation, weather and research. Space station and human spacecraft in orbit are also satellites. There are various type of satellite orbits, and low Earth orbit here altitude up to 2,000 kilometer. Then medium here up to altitude is varies from 2,000 to around 36,000 kilometer. And then another very important fact is that a geostationary orbit stays exactly above the equator, but geosynchronous orbit may swing north and south to cover more of the Earth's surface. This is very important. This could be asked that what is the difference between the geostationary orbit and the geosynchronous orbit. So geostationary orbit stays exactly above the equator, but geosynchronous orbit may swing north and south, and both cover the one full orbit of Earth in one sidereal day or 24 hours. Then there are some high Earth orbits also. These are above the geosynchronous orbit of 36,000 kilometer. Then geostationary satellite revolve around the Earth at around 36,000 kilometer. Time period is 24 hours. Then this is very important fact that Earth rotate from west to east. That is why it seems that sun and stars uh, moving or rotating from east to west. There are various uses of geostationary satellite and as well as polar satellites. I've told you this. So this is the second part of physics basics for exams. And please like, share, and subscribe our channel Study for Civil Services for more updates. And wait for our third part of this video. Thank you for listening. Hello guys, welcome to Study for Civil Services. So this is the another part of physics digest for exams or physics concepts for exams. These are very basic concepts, and we have actually started the series of general science for all the exams: UPSC, state PCS exams, SSC exams, and various other competitive exams. So in the previous part, we have covered up to the uses of nuclear reactor, and in this part, we will start from the components of nuclear reactor. There are several components of nuclear reactor which are as follows. First and most important is the fissionable fuel. which can be fissioned. It could be uranium 235 or uranium 239. Another component is moderator. So moderator is used to moderate, that is to slow down the neutrons from fission to the thermal energy so that they can be further used for fission reaction. Because in the previous part I have told you, I have explained you, in the nuclear reactor there is a controlled fission chain reaction. So that is why the speed of the neutrons is made to be slow so that they can be used further, and moderator does that work. So moderator is used to moderate or slow down the speed of neutrons. So this is second part, and I've told you that there are several moderators like heavy water, then beryllium oxide. Now another is and graphite. So heavy water and graphite and beryllium oxide are used as moderator. Another component in nuclear reactor is control rod. They are used in nuclear reactor to control the fission rate of either uranium or plutonium. Uranium and plutonium are the fuels of the nuclear reactor, and moderator used to slow down the speed of the neutron. Control rod are used to control the fission rate of uranium and plutonium. And there is one more fact, you might have heard about the Iran and the world powers like P5+1 deal, and there also they talked about the fission rate of material or the fission percentage of material. In the nuclear reactor, which used to produce electricity, the fissionable percentage required is around 3 to 5%. Now, the control rods are actually composed of chemical elements like boron, silver, indium, and cadmium that are capable of absorbing many neutrons without themselves fissioning. Now, another very basic concept is Newton's laws of motion. There are three laws of motion. First law say that everybody maintains its initial state of rest or motion with uniform speed on a straight line unless an external force act on it. So unless an external force act on it, everybody maintains its initial state of rest, or if in motion, then it maintains the motion with uniform speed on a straight line. And example could be while jumping from a slowly moving train bus, one must run for a short distance in the direction of motion. So this is because of the Newton's first law of motion. The second law is the form acting on an object is directly proportional to the, sorry, this is not form, it is actually force. So the force acting on an object is directly proportional to the product of mass of the object and the acceleration produced in it. So according to this law, F is equal to m into a. F is equal to force, then m is equal to mass, and a equal to acceleration. Third law is very famous, that in every action there is a equal and opposite reaction. Examples could be bogies of the train are provided with buffers to avoid severe jerks during shunting of trains, and rockets move up due to the reaction of downward ejection of gas. So these are the examples of Newton's third law of motion. See, this is Newton's law of motion. They can be summarized as every object persists in its state of rest or uniform motion in a straight line unless it is compelled to change the states by force impressed on it. मतलब अगर कोई बॉडी है या कोई ऑब्जेक्ट है तो वो अपने स्टेट ऑफ रेस्ट में या यूनिफॉर्म मोशन में रहेगी जब तक उसको कोई एक्सटर्नल फोर्स अफेक्ट ना करे. Second is force is equal to change in momentum per change in time. And for a constant mass, force equal mass into acceleration F equal to m into a. Third is very famous, for every action there is equal and opposite reaction. Then again, these three laws, objects as rest remain as rest, and objects in motion remain in motion in a straight line unless acted upon by unbalanced force. And other laws are same. So these were the Newton's law of motion. These are very important. These could be asked in the exams with a direct statement. Another concept is circular motion. So when an object moves along a circular path, its motion is called circular motion, and the external force required to act radially inward over the circular motion of the body is called centripetal force. So centripetal force acts inward, radially inward, and centrifugal is a pseudo force that is act equal and opposite to the centripetal force because of the Newton's third law of motion. So centripetal force will act radially inward, means if this is a circle, then centripetal will be this, and centrifugal will be radially outward. And please remember these three examples which work on the principle of centrifugal force. Centrifugal is the radially outward, and cream separator, then centrifugal dryer, they work on the principle of centrifugal force. So these could be directly as in the exams, like cream separator is based on which principle? So that principle is centrifugal force. Another concept is friction. Friction in the actually opposing force that is set up between the surface of contact when one body slides or rolls on or tends to do so on the surface of another body. So when one body tries to slide, or when one body tries to rolls or tend to move on the surface of another body, there is an opposition or the resistance takes place, that is known as friction, and it is because of the friction we are able to move on the surface of earth. Please remember this, because of the friction force. Because when we walk on the road, so we apply force on the road, and there is a friction force which is applied by the surface on us also, and because of that force we are able to move on the surface of earth. Friction are of two types. One is static, when the body is is stable or is at rest, then static friction takes place, and the when body is moving, then kinetic friction takes place. And while applying brakes in automobiles, it stops only because of the friction. So this is the fourth part of physics digest for exams, or physics concept for exams. Please like, share, and subscribe our channel Study for Civil Services for more updates. And please wait for our another part of this video. Thank you for listening. Hello guys, welcome to Study for Civil Services. This is the fifth part of physics concepts for exams, physics digest for 2016 competitive exams, and we have covered up to friction in the last part. And from this part we will start with Pascal's law of pressure. Pascal's law is very important, and its applications are generally asked in the exams. Now, what is Pascal's law? It states that whenever there is an increase in pressure at any point in a confined liquid, please focus on this term, confined liquid. So, whenever there is an increase in pressure at any point in a confined liquid, there is equal increase at every other point in the container. So, if a small force will be applied here, then the large force will be automatically be applied here, and that is why it is the principle used in various applications. Now the pressure exerted at one surface of an incompressible fluid is equal to pressure exerted at any other surface, and this allows a small force applied to a small area to be converted into a large force applied to a large area, as in the hydraulic lift below. So Pascal's principle is used actually whenever we want to lift any large any large vehicle or any large substance. Here we will apply the Pascal's law, and we will apply small force, and it will be automatically converted into large force because the pressure will be same, and pressure is equal to force upon area. So that is why this principle is used in various applications like hydraulic lift, hydraulic press, and hydraulic brakes. So all these three, hydraulic lift, hydraulic press, hydraulic brakes, are based on the Pascal's law of pressure. Please remember this. Now another concept is Archimedes principle. Archimedes principle indicates that the upward buoyant force that is exerted on a body immersed in a fluid, whether fully or partially submerged, is equal to the weight of the fluid that the body displaces. So when a body is immersed partially or wholly in a liquid, there is an apparent loss in weight of the body, and that is equal to the weight of the liquid that is displaced by the body. Please remember this. So the weight of the water displaced by an iron ball is less than its own weight. And whereas the water displaced by an immersed portion of a ship is equal to its weight. So that is why the small ball of iron sinks in the water. Iron ball sinks in the water because the weight of water displaced by an iron ball is less than its own weight. So the iron ball density will be high, and that is why it will sink into the water because of the density principle. But the large ship will keep floating on the water because the water displaced by the immersed portion of the ship will be equal to its weight. And this is very interesting fact that because of this Archimedes principle, a fat person will quickly learn the swimming if you compare the fat person to a slim person, because a fat person will displace more water, and that is why it will be more balanced. So please remember this interesting fact. A fat person will quickly learn the swimming as compared to the slim person. Another example is hydrogen filled balloon float in air because hydrogen is lighter than air, and a person can lift more weight in water. Another concept is wave. Wave is actually a disturbance which propagates energy from one place to another without the transportation of matter. This is very important. It propagates energy from one place to another, but without the transportation of matter. Waves are broadly of two types. One is mechanical waves and then electromagnetic waves. Mechanical waves means the wave which requires a medium, and they are also two types: longitudinal or transverse wave. Longitudinal waves means the displacement of the medium is in the same direction or in the opposite direction to the direction of the travel of the wave. So they move in the length in the direction of the travel of the wave, and they move along the actually length, and in this wave the particle of the medium vibrate in the direction of the propagation of wave. Examples of longitudinal waves are like the waves on springs or the sound waves in the air. So sound waves are the longitudinal waves. Please remember this. Another is the transverse wave. In this wave, the particles of the medium vibrate perpendicular to the direction of propagation of wave. In the longitudinal wave, the particles are moving along the direction of propagation of wave. But in the transverse wave, the particles of the medium are moving perpendicular to the direction of the propagation of the wave. And waves on strings under tension, then waves on surface of water, both these are the examples of transverse wave. Sound wave is a longitudinal wave because they move along the direction of the propagation of the wave. Now another type is electromagnetic wave, the waves which do not require medium for their propagation, that is which can propagate even through the vacuum. They are known as electromagnetic waves. And light, radio waves, X-rays, etc. are the examples of electromagnetic waves. So X-rays and radio waves, then visible lights, then infrared waves, all these are examples of electromagnetic waves. And these waves propagate with the velocity of light in the vacuum. Now we'll see about sound waves. Sound waves are longitudinal mechanical waves. I've told you this. And based on their frequency range, sound waves could be divided into following categories. First is the sound waves which lie in the frequency range of 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz are known as audible waves. So audible waves are lying in the frequency range of 20 hertz to the 20,000 hertz, and the waves which lie outside this range are not audible. And the sound waves having frequency less than 20 hertz are known as infrasonic, and the sound waves which are having frequency more than 20,000 hertz are known as ultrasonic waves. And ultrasonic waves are used for sending signals, measuring the depth of sea, cleaning clothes and machinery parts, remaining lamp shot from the chimney of factories, and in ultrasonography. Now, speed of sound. Speed of sound is maximum in solids, minimum in gases. So, if you compare the speed of sound in liquid, solid, and gases, speed of sound will be maximum in solid, and then second maximum in the liquid, and least in the gases. When sound goes from one medium to another medium, its speed and wavelength changes, but frequency remains unchanged. Please remember this: frequency will remain unchanged, and the speed of sound remain unchanged by the increase or decrease of the pressure. And the speed of sound increases with the increase of temperature of the medium. So pressure is having no effect, but temperature is having the effect. And the speed of sound is more in humid air than in the dry air, because the density of humid air is less than the density of the dry air. Please remember these facts; these are very important. So speed of sound is maximum in solid, minimum in gases, and when sound waves move from one medium to another, its frequency will remain unchanged, and speed and wavelength will be changes. And the speed of sound will remain unchanged by the decrease or increase of pressure. So pressure is having no effect on the speed of sound, but temperature is having effect on the speed of sound. And temperature is actually directly proportional to the speed of sound, and the speed of sound is more in humid air than in dry air, because density of humid air is less than the density of the dry air. Now echo is actually the repetition of sound waves, or sound due to the reflection of sound waves is known as echo. Intensity is defined as amount of energy passing normally per unit area held around that point per source unit time. Pitch is actually the sensation of a frequency, and it is commonly referred to as the pitch of the sound. So pitch, the sensation of a frequency, is commonly referred to as the pitch of a sound. Normally the pitch of female or the woman are normally the pitch of the female or the woman is higher than the male. Please remember this fact. Now, sonar means sound navigation and ranging. Sonar, so from sound, and A from navigation, and R from ranging. So, sonar means sound navigation and ranging. It is used to measure the depth of the sea and to locate the enemy submarines and shipwrecks. Doppler's effect is actually if there is a relative motion between the source of sound and observer, the apparent frequency of the sound heard by the observer is different from the actual frequency. So please focus on these red colored words. And if there is relative motion between the source of sound and observer, then the apparent frequency of sound heard by the observer will be different from the actual frequency of the sound emitted by the source, and this phenomenon is known as Doppler's effect. Now light, it is actually a form of energy which is propagated as electromagnetic waves, and it is the radiation which makes our eyes able to see the object. Light speed is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second, and it is the form of energy. So light is actually a form of energy, and it is a transverse waves. We have seen the difference between the longitudinal and the transverse wave, and it takes around 8 minutes 20 second or 19 second to reach light from the sun to the earth, and the light reflected from the moon takes around 1.28 second to reach earth. Now reflection of light means when a ray of light falls on a boundary separating two media comes back into the same media, then this phenomenon is known as reflection of light. And reflection of plane mirror This is very important fact. Please focus on these red words. To see the full image in a plane mirror, a person required a mirror of at least half of his height. This question has been asked. This question have been asked in various times in UPPCS and MPPCS and in SSC exams. Please remember this fact that to see the full image of any person in a plane mirror, a person requires at least a mirror of half of his height. And reflection from plane mirror: if an object moves towards a plane mirror with speed v related to the object, then uh, object the it moves with a speed 2v. This is very important. This red colored, please remember this. So this is the fifth part of the physics concept for exams. Please like, share, and subscribe our channel Study for Civil Services for more updates, and please wait for our next part of this video. Thank you for listening. Hello guys, welcome to Study for Civil Services. This video series we have actually started general science, and we have already covered chemistry concepts and chemistry MCQs. And in this video series we are covering the physics concepts and very basic physics concepts for the exams, and we have covered up to this plane mirror, and we have told you that please remember this fact directly. This question have been asked in various times in exams, and this is very frequent question. To see the full image of a person in a plane mirror, a person required at least a mirror of half of its size, half of his height. Another concept is spherical mirror. Spherical mirror are of two types. One is concave and another is convex mirror. Now, image formed by a convex mirror is always virtual, erect, and diminished, and image formed by a concave mirror is generally real and inverted. Uses of concave and convex mirror are very important, and their uses are generally asked in the exams. Now, uses of concave mirror. Please remember that you concave mirror can be used as a shaving mirror. It can also be used as a reflector for the headlights of a vehicle searchlight. Then concave mirror can also be used in ophthalmoscope to examine eye, ear, nose by the doctor. And then concave mirror can also be used in the solar cookers. So three actually uses are very important. Concave mirror is used in the shaving mirror, then as reflector of headlights of vehicle, and then in solar cooker. Then we will see the uses of convex mirror. Convex mirror can be used as a rear view mirror or RVM in the vehicle because it provides the maximum rear field of the view, and the image formed is always erect. And convex mirror is also used in the sodium reflector lamp. So please remember this: convex mirror is used in the RVM of the vehicle, rear view mirror. Then refraction of light means the bending of the ray of light passing from one medium to another medium. And when a ray of light enters from one medium to another medium, its frequency and phase do not change. I have told you many times. Wavelength could be changed, velocity could be changed. Now, due to refraction from the Earth's surface, the stars actually appear to twinkle. Critical angle means the angle of incidence in a denser medium for which the angle of refraction in rarer medium becomes 90. Now, total internal reflection, this is very important concept. Please remember this concept as it is. Actually, the applications of these concepts are very important, and they are quite frequently asked in the exams. Like sparkling of diamond is based on the total internal reflection. Then mirage and looming based on the TIR, and then shining of the bubble in water, shining of the air bubble in the water. Then optical fiber, they all are the example of total internal reflection. You might have heard the scheme launched by the government of India, National Optical Fiber, NOFN. And there the optical fiber is used, and that optical fiber is actually based on the total internal reflection. Now we will see some of the concepts of electricity and magnetism. Charge is the basic property associated with matter. due to which it produces and experiences electric and magnetic effects. Similar charges actually repel each other and opposite charges attract each other. This is the law of universe, and the SI unit of charge is Coulomb. Now, conductor means those materials which allow electricity to pass through them, and all the metals, mostly all the metals like silver, iron, copper, and earth, acts as a converter. Earth is the biggest conductor present in the actually Earth surface is the biggest conductor, and that is why there is always a switch, a third point in the all the electronic switches, and that is known as earthing because it absorbs all the currents. Now, silver is the best conductor. Please remember this fact. This fact can be directly asked in the exam. Silver is the best conductor. Insulator means those materials which do not allow electricity to flow through them. And this is not metals actually. Materials like wood, paper, mica, glass, and ebonite are the insulators. Electronic current is a scalar quantity and its unit is ampere. An electrical bulb makes a bang when it is broken because there is a vacuum inside the electric bulb. And in the previous videos I have told you that some gases are also filled in the electric bulb like argon and sometimes nitrogen also. Now these are some of the measuring units, very important. Angstrom is used for measuring length of light, denoted by A. 1 angstrom is equal to 10 to the power minus 10 meter. Then barrel used for measuring liquids. One barrel is equal to 31.5 gallons. Cable is used for measuring length of cable. Carat actually is used for measuring precious stones, and it is also a measure for the purity of gold alloy. You might have heard this name that 24 carats, 22 carats, 18 carats. There are various quantities of carats present in the gold, and 24 carats assumed to be purest form of the gold. Then fathom is used for the measuring depth of water. One fathom is equal to 4 inches. Knot is used for measuring speed of the ships. These are some of the conversion factor. You can see that 1 kg equal to 1000 grams or 6.02 into 10 to the power 26 atomic mass unit. Then one slug is equal to this. You can pause the video and just have a look at this. These are very important. Sometimes these could also be asked. Then these are some of the terms related with the meter. Then 1 meter, or then 1 deca means 10 to the power 1, hecto means 10 to the power 2 meter, kilo means 10 to the power 3 meter, mega means 10 to the power 6, and giga means 10 to the power 9. So these actually 10 to the power is the exponential multiplier, and the prefix of this is this. And similar way, deci means 10 to the power minus 1, centi 10 to the power minus 2, milli means 10 to the power minus 3, micro means 10 to the power minus 6, nano means 10 to the power minus 9 meter, and pico means 10 to the power minus 12. And there are some other terms like femto. Now some important scientific instrument in here we will see, and this is the list of some of the very important scientific instrument. First is accumulator. Accumulator is the instrument where electrical energy is stored. Then altimeter used in the aircraft for measuring altitudes. Then ammeter is used for measuring the electrical current in amperes. Then anemometer is used for measuring the strength of winds. So this is the sixth part of the physics concept for exams. Please like, share, and subscribe our channel Study for Civil Services for more updates. And please wait for our next and last part of this physics concept for exams. Thank you for listening. Study for Civil Services. This is the seventh and last part of physics concepts and or physics digest for exams. These are very basic concepts and these are must know for all the exams. So we have finished up to the units, and in this video we will start with some important scientific instrument. This is the collection of all the important scientific instrument and also all the instrument which have previously been asked in the exams. So let's start. First is accumulator. Accumulator is used to store the electrical energy. Then another is altimeter. It is used in aircraft for measuring altitudes. Altimeters means altitudes. Then ammeter, it is used to measure the electrical current in amperes. Then anemometer, it is used to measure the strength of the winds. This question has been asked in the UPPCS 2016 also. So anemometer is used for measuring the strength of winds. Audiometer is used for measuring the intensity of wind. Then audiophone is used for improving imperfect sense of hearing. Then barometer is used for measuring atmospheric pressure. And here mercury is used actually. Then binocular is an optical instrument designed for magnified view of distant object by both eyes simultaneously. Then cardiogram is used for recording the heart movements. So that is why cardiograph is obtained after the heartbeats. In the heart, actually, diseases they used to, you know the cardiographs. Then calorimeter is measuring of qualities of heat. Chronometer is a clock that keeps very accurate time as the one that is used to determine longitude at sea. Then colorimeter is an instrument for comparing intensities of color. So this is colorimeter. Then commutator is an instrument to change or remove the direction of an electrical current in dynamo used to convert alternating current into direct current, AC into DC. Then cyclotron means the studying the properties of atoms by smashing them. Dynamo is a device for converting mechanical energy into electrical energy. This question has also been asked in the UPPC's exam 2016 prelims. So dynamo is the device used for converting mechanical energy into electrical energy. These are very important scientific instrument. You must remember this. And dynamo is the most important. It is used for converting mechanical energy into electrical energy. Dynamometer is an instrument for measuring the electrical power. Then electroscope is an instrument for detecting the presence of electric charge. Then galvanometer means used for detecting and measuring electrical current. Phonograph is used for reproducing sound. Then quartz clock is a highly accurate clock used in astronomical observations and other precision work. Radar is radio angle detection and range is used to detect the direction and range of an approaching aeroplane by means of radio microwaves. So if above the ground, it is known as radar, and if the it is used in the waters to find the depth of the water or to find the depth of the sea or ocean, it is known as sonar. Their sound waves are used. Then radiometer is an instrument for measuring the emission of radiant energy. Radio micrometer is an instrument for measuring heat radiations. Then rain gauge is an instrument for measuring rainfall. Rectifier is an instrument used for conversion of AC into DC. Refractometer is an instrument used to measure the refractive index of a substance. Then resistance thermometer used for determining the electrical resistance of conductors. Selenometer is a type of hydrometer used to determine the concentration of salt solutions by measuring their densities. Seismometer or seismograph is an apparatus used for measuring and recording earthquake shocks. And earthquake is actually measured in the Richter scale. Then sextant for guiding ships or surveying land. Spectroscope is an instrument used for spectrum analysis. Then speedometer actually register the speed at which vehicle is moving. Spherometer is used for measuring curvature of surfaces. Then sphygmomanometer is an instrument used to detect blood pressure in a human body, and it is also called BP apparatus. So BP apparatus is also known as sphygmomanometer, and it is an instrument used to detect blood pressure in a human body. Then sphygmophone is an instrument with the help of which a pulse beat make a sound. Spring balance used for measuring weights. Stereoscope is used to view two-dimensional pictures. Stethoscope is an instrument which is used by the doctor to hear and analyze heart and lung sounds. Then stroboscope is used to view rapidly moving objects. Then tachometer is an instrument used in measuring speeds of aeroplane and motorboats. Then tachometer is actually is used in measuring speed of aeroplane and motorboats by counting the number of revolution. Then teleprinter is the instrument receives and send typed message from one place to another. Telescope is the instrument which view distant objects in space. Then theodolite, it measures horizontal and vertical angles. Then transistor is a small device which may be used to amplify currents and perform other functions usually performed by a thermionic value. Then vernier is an adjustable scale for measuring small subdivisions of a scale to also measure the least count of the scale. Then viscometer is for measuring the viscosity. Voltmeter is used to measure potential difference between the 2 points. So these are some of the very important scientific instrument. You must remember these for all the exams. And these are some of the basic physics concepts for 2016 exams. And this video could be used for all the exams like UPSC and state PCS and SSC exams and banking and other railway exams and various other competitive exams. So thank you for listening. Please subscribe our channel, Study for Civil Services, more updates.